Why, hello there. So I'm just jumping on here really quick because I want to test the lives and see how the camera quality is, which is not great. But I'm not fancy schmancyed up yet because I've been, trying to figure all this out. YouTube is new, let me tell you. It's new to me again, and I'm trying to find my way back here. Okay, so what I'm going to do for you is well, hello there. All right, listen, I made some bread last night, some fresh homemade bread, which I'm going to post. I thought it was already here, but it's not. But just so you know, this is delicious homemade bread. It took me under an hour to make. And what I did while it was baking was I got my delicious, I call it a Greek caprese, ready to go. This is a beautiful heirloom tomato sliced with some, Denmark feta. This guy here. There's competition. It's this guy, and then there's another guy, Picnic. That's the other one. So I go back and forth, but today I use Denmark. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my cutting board and just slice that bread down the middle. Okay, you don't even need a fancy schmancy bread knife. You can just use a serrated steak knife. It's just lunch, You're just going to leave it a little hinged on the back side. Okay. Now, this is a pretty straightforward situation. You can doll it up however you'd like. You can add maybe some chimichurri, maybe some chimichurri aioli. I don't know. For me, the beauty of this sandwich is letting the tomatoes actually sit in the bread for a while until the juices kind of become their own thing. And it becomes one of the most delicious, quick vegetarian lunches you could possibly have. And so I'm just going to stack that bad boy. And then I'm going to take the rest of my tomatoes and feta, and I'll just leave that for a nice little Greek salad that I have in the fridge. Just like that, no big fuss. Got 2 little rounds there. Maybe I will add even one more tomato. Gorgeous tomato that went to Harvard. And for aesthetics, we're going to turn the rind side facing the bread. Look at that. Press it down. Don't be shy. My lunch for me to go. Then I'm going to take this basil that I have. Now, oftentimes we have way too much basil and we're like, we don't want to throw it away. You can fully air dry it. I like to put it on a baking sheet and just stick it in front of a little mini fan if I need it like that night. Otherwise, you can just air dry it. But if you're going to air dry it, make sure no pieces are touching because that moisture will create mold. So that's why I just like to lay them flat like that, right on a baking sheet, a cooling rack. And then you just put a little tabletop fan there or put it somewhere that's going to get a lot of ventilation so that the air can quickly just, dry it out. So that's what I did here. And I just kind of wrapped it up in a napkin and put it back in the fridge. So it's kind of somewhere in between. I'm just going to pluck these not dry, but wilted because there's still moisture in here. I'm just going to put those right on top of here, just like that. Which is funny because fresh basil would actually tend to rot quicker because there's more moisture. Just the fact that these are kind of still moist but not totally dry is pretty much like the perfect place to be for a sandwich that's going to sit like that. Now we're going to add salt to increase the moisture release because, like I said, we're trying to prepare this for a nice juicy situation. So there I have my little pinch of salt. I'm just going to go. Don't be shy with the salt because it's really going to help enhance things. Now, with my little gluttonous self, I'm going to fold this over. But you know what? Because I really like to keep it real, and I know where this is headed, it's going to split open. So we're going to do it for you like the deli, You know when you go to the deli and they put the parchment down first? Yeah, that's one of the reasons. Kind of like your job to figure out how to eat it. What I like to call functional food fails. But this will not fail so long as it's protected in its little parchment here. It's like swaddling a baby. So we're just going to take that and we're just going to do that. Now I'm just going to use the parchment to finish wrapping it so that if it does start to split, I won't see it. It won't be my problem. I'm going to fold that over there just like that. Now I'm going to put some balsamic dressing on the side so I can dip it or layer it on. I don't want to do that just yet because the bread is fresh. If this was store-bought bread, I would absolutely do that. But fresh bread, it won't hold up like that because it's too tender. It's too fresh. She's too delicate, darling. Okay, so then we're just gonna wrap her up. A little lopsided, but that's okay. As long as the job is getting done. A little sloppy, that's okay. There we go. And now she's ready to go. Now, if you want to be extra fancy about it, and you want to save the earth, just one more little baby step. Just save those little rubber bands that come on your asparagus or whatever, stick them in a drawer, give them a good rinse, you know. And there you go. You don't have to use tape. It doesn't have to be a sticky mess. And then you can reuse that later. So that's that. And the parchment, you know, if you buy the right kind, it is compostable. So there's that. Now I'm going to show you one more thing, because last night's live when I made that bread, I also made some stuffed cheesy breads. Yes, I did. And here is one of them. Now, I'll be honest, we didn't have a rhyme or reason when we were shaping this thing. We just went with it, because that's what I do on my show. I like to have fun. I've been cooking for over 30 years, pretty much since I was 5 years old, and running restaurants since I was 13. So at this point, I'm like, you know what? We're just here to have some fun. I'll give you some technical skills along the way. We will have formal cooking classes here and there's. But for the most part, you're here to have fun with me while we cook. So we just explored with this one and we folded it over. Now I wanted it to be a nice, beautiful round, right? Like an elegant situation, but it didn't happen. The cheese was too clunky and we just folded it over and we said, let's just see what happens. So that is what happened and I'm not mad at it. I also made another one, more of a baguette shape. I had half of that for breakfast already. And I did soft boil. I did over medium an egg and shove it in there. And it's so good. I also like to finish the tops with salt because it does a good job. That's right. So that was my breakfast. And I still have one. I made, and the beauty of making bread is you can make whatever shapes you want. So in my case, I'm a single person. I have hot dogs in my fridge, vegan hot dogs. And then I have a very strong desire to eat bread every day. And when you make it yourself, your body knows what to do with it. It doesn't sit with you the way it would if it was from the market. That's all I'm going to say about that. But I did make myself the right size hot dog bun. Now, keep in mind, it's all the same basic white dough, but just shaping it like this and putting some ice cube bath in the oven gives it that nicer crust. So it's going to be a perfect hot dog bun. So now I have my hot dog bun. I've got my cheesy exploration situation. I've got my regular just Bilolo bowl or bread that I made my little lunch with. And then I had my other stuffed Bilolo that I made my delicious breakfast with. So also you can turn these into bagels. You can turn them into pretzels, all off of the same dough. The difference is one step of method from left to right. And we'll get into that. You know what I mean? But anyway, I want to cut into this and show you the inside of it. Okay. So we're going to grab our chef's knife and we're going to protect our knuckles behind that blade. Okay. Here's a nice rule of thumb I like to teach people. As long as your thumb is behind your knuckles, your thumb is safe. Never let your thumb get in front of your knuckles. That's not good. Oh, that's not good. So you're going to keep right here, like the claw. Okay. And I've noticed that I turn my hands to the side more. I don't cook straight. I don't cut straight. I definitely tend to like contour my wrist towards the situation. So you see how I'm just like kind of collapsed and flat here and rested. And my knuckles are right here. My fingertips are underneath. My fingertips basically shouldn't be touching the bread at all. They should be resting facing that way. And then as long as these knuckles are touching the knife, you are safe because you have that connection. So there's no chance of slippage. And if that thumb is behind your knuckles, you know, I always like to tell my kids students, it's like, pretend like the thumb is the little guy who's like, let me at him. And then the big boys back here are like, no, let's just hang it. Please, let me at him. Don't let him at him. All right. And so we're going to go from tip to down. And we're just going to go see this angle here I'm at. See how I'm here, I'm not here. So you want to go here. Now there's a couple things. You can slide it in and finish cutting, or you can just start it at an angle here and then cut down like that and pull back. Keeping full contact with the cutting board at all times to get a nice slice. And look at the middle there. Do you see that? This, this ring light is like, it is my friend, but it's not. Can you see that? This terrible lighting. Hold on. I can do better. It's my first live back in no, I've never done a live on YouTube. Welcome. Can you see that? Can you see what's happening here? I sure can't, so I hope you can. Look at that. It's backwards and upside down. This camera's hard to work with. Look at that. That's all cheese. That's all cheese. Now imagine what happens when you toast it and you add an egg to it or some pastrami. I don't know. The lighting is terrible. I look terrible. Do you know how much courage it took for me to get here with no makeup on and in my shabbies? But listen, when the content strikes, you've got to strike back. So there you have it. This was less than a 1 hour dough. That's why it's so dense. That's why it's literally so dense. And if you see last night's episode, it'll make sense. The idea was we only have an hour. How can we make bread? So we did some delicious flatbreads, which, you'll see on that episode. They're there. And for now, I just wanted to show you what you can do with $1 worth of bread. This was 4 cups of flour. The bag of flour was a beautiful bag of flour. Now, I did invest in that. It did cost me a decent chunk of change. But even the $15 I spent on that bag of organic, unbleached, unenriched, unfortified, as straight from the earth as I can get it here in America, I paid $15 for that. That's 2 loaves of bread later, you're gone. Those loaves of bread have preservatives in them. And here's a fun fact. I did my own personal research, and it turns out that flat tortillas, the simplest, most unintimidating, lowest carb thing you can get, which a lot of us start eating during this time for our, fit body, summer body thing, they bloat me. And they make me have muffin tops so quickly. I'm talking 1 6-inch, 4-inch straight taco flour tortilla will put muffin tops on me overnight. It's all bloat. It's all inflammation. And I hear so often from people, it's the most common question I get, because I'm also a trainer, is why am I bloated? I've been eating salads. I've been eating wraps. I've been cutting my carbs. And there's so many hidden potential reasons in between everything you just said, if those are your sources. Sometimes it's just about the method, because when you aggravate certain foods, it changes the chemical compounds of it and what it can or cannot do for your body, or what it does easier or not. Kind of like when you're cooking or eating raw, right? So they say a lot of food is easier absorbed when it's actually cooked to a certain point, because it softens the vegetable and therefore your body will find it easier to digest and absorb. Other foods are the exact opposite. Eating them raw will do that. So it also goes to from a whole nut to grinding nuts. Things change. Do you know what I mean? And all of our bodies are unique, and all of them respond to these things differently. But the one thing I can tell you that's been black and white for everybody that I know is eating store-bought bread will definitely offer you bloat and this fake sense of weight gain. And this is one of the reasons that I think so many diet plans, you lose 10 pounds in the first 10 days or the first 2 weeks, and then it's a struggle after that. And we hear the same narrative over and over and over again. Well, it's because muscle weighs more than fat, so don't be discouraged. It's your body transitioning, and your body's about to become a furnace, and it's going to burn things off real quickly for you. Just get through this, get to the peak. And so much of that is true, but that's not always going to be the case for everybody. And that is statistically true. But like I said, there's a lot of stuff that's happening in between that. And the reason I pointed out that 10 pounds of water weight is because a lot of these companies take credit for that water weight. So I just think we need to mark that off and start the chart after 2 weeks of being with a trainer or a fitness program, diet, Jenny, whatever. I don't want to name names, but you know what I'm talking about. Take those first 2 weeks off. That's a given. Your water weight's going to come off no matter what, because you're shocking your body, and they're starting to tweak your diet for you. It's a wash. I'm sorry. Everybody loses those first 10 pounds of water weight in any single diet you can go on. So the real starts at that 3rd week. And if you're discouraged, I'm asking you to take a closer look at these smaller ingredients. A tiny little preservative literally could be enough to be causing that bloat or the irritability or the issues may be having with however your pipes are working, whichever way it may be going. So there's a lot of moving parts to food. There's a lot of moving parts to health. And so in my sense of coming back to YouTube, I spent a lot of time researching what's out there? What can I add to this platform? There's so much already oversaturated. I watched 7 videos on 100 different ways you can make a potato. Well, that's a shame because I had my own video that I was making about what you can do with the potato. So why would I bother adding to that? Is my video going to be as polished as the next guy? Do I have as many followers? No, the answer is no to all of these things. It doesn't discourage me from sharing what I know in the world of potatoes, but is it the best place I can come in? Is it the best hard hit I can give you? Is it my ego versus, logic? So I've decided to continue doing my episodes live. I've been doing live on Instagram for about 3 years, maybe actually since the pandemic. I've been doing live tutorials and live workshops, and they're not always smooth going because real food and real life is not always pretty and polished with the right lighting and the right timing. Things go astray. And to me, the most important thing is honoring the people that I learned from, whether it was on the Food Network or in real life. And one of those people is Emeril Lagasse. And he was the only person besides Iron Chef, which does actually have a team of people and very strategic, nothing taking away from them. They're all amazing. But Emeril Lagasse was the only person who decided to design his show as a live cooking show. And, bands were involved to keep you occupied during the downtime and things of this nature. And he had certain things pre-prepped, which is always a good idea because you only have an hour. But the idea, looking up now and realizing that there are very few people on YouTube that are doing live cooking shows, to me, the most important thing is getting you to learn how to cook. It's not using my talent to become famous. I just feel like by proxy, that's going to happen. Do you know what I mean? It's not even the right way to use that word, but it's not my goal. My goal is to say, when I leave this earth, I need to make sure that I have given you the gift that was given to me, because that's how that chain connects. A lot of people will put up polished videos that might leave you feeling a little intimidated. I can do that same thing, but that won't get you where I need you, which is in the kitchen, cooking basic white bread with a life hack in under an hour and letting you decide, you know what? I could have done better on that. I want to see what's going to happen when I let that bread go in whole actual hour in the proper time that it should rest. If it was this good like that, I bet you it's going to be even better like that. And then your brain's going to kind of start entertaining this other thing, which is science, the science behind the food. And you're going to say to yourself, so let me get this straight. I use the same ingredients, but just use the time differently, or decided to use more time and different atmospheres of temperature, and that produced different breads. That's fascinating. That could be enough for somebody who's more interested in the aspects of science and food science to stay occupied for the rest of their lives. Just right there in the studies of how all these different temperatures and climates affect food. So it goes on and on and on and on. So for me, in the amount of information that I have, I could overwhelm you really easily, but that can't happen if I'm cooking for you live, because that is staying in the moment. And if I can train you on how to, or show you rather, and you can train yourself on how to keep your mess clean as you go, how to cut certain steps out of recipes, because some of them are just so long-winded, and cut out all of those pieces of equipment that we need just by configuring things a little differently. Maybe we're like, we need 8 pans over here because we're doing this, that with this timing. Can we life hack that timing? You bet we can. So those are the ways that you're going to see things happen on my channel. So for me to be polished and pretty today, it would have been nice. I'm not going to lie. I do use filters on Instagram, and there's none offered here. But that's just part of it, is keeping it real. I will do my best to be more presentable next time, I promise. But this was a last minute impromptu. And I just thought that's got to be part of it. I got to be willing to get on here when I look like total crap. So I'll see you guys soon. There's a lot of good stories that come in between my 2008 original video and today. There's a lot of story times in between that. So I'm going to find some organic ways to intertwine those, because everybody has a story and everybody's story is good, but it is in the magic and the power of how you tell that story. So I'm trying to curate the best possible way that I can share my story of what has happened since 2008 and 2025. Life-changing traumas, yes. Wonderful opportunities, yes. And all of that really kind of staying together, and the glue through all of these highs and lows was food. Food has always been my safe space. Food is something that has to keep you in the moment, much like boxing, which I also absolutely love, and MMA. So, you find your therapies besides sitting on the couch and talking to somebody. You need alternatives. And for a lot of us, that's hands-on. So if I can offer you a form of therapy while you're learning something and taking life skills with you, then my job here is done. So forget what I look like today. Trust the process, my friends, and get ready with me next time. I thank you so much for stopping by this channel. I really do appreciate you considering hitting that subscribe button, because it doesn't cost anything to do it, but it does take your time, and that is a huge value. So it does cost you something. It costs you investing in me and deciding to learn from me or learn with me as we try new things. And in the meanwhile, I hope you enjoy yourself. It's Taco Tuesday, so have a wonderful Taco Tuesday. It's also Earth Day, and now I'm going to go finish feeding the squirrels that are quite literally sitting in front of my doorstep right now, taking their walnuts. I know they got to fill their plate up because there's like 6 of them at this point. The birds are chirping. I got to go feed the birds, and the hummingbird feeders are already full. I did all that last night. So I feed everybody and everything. Also having a lot of fun feeding the crows. I carry walnuts with me when I go on my dog walks. So my dog and I are going to go do that now and enjoy the sunset while I enjoy my delicious homemade bread and waiting for the sandwich that'll be perfect for me when I get back from my dog walk. Alrighty there, my friends. Enjoy food. Food is there for you to enjoy. And break bread with somebody every once in a while, because eating as a group is a really, really great way to form a collective. I'll see you later, my friends. It's me, Tam Tam, out for now. And I'll tell you what, I will see you before I don't. Happy Tuesday.